Hey everybody, I wanted to introduce to you a new informational video series that we're going to be doing, fact-checking some of the claims that are being made about Lake Okeechobee, water management in South Florida, and issues surrounding that. We're going to be talking about some of the claims that have been made by members of the South Florida Water Management District, the Army Corps, industry spokespeople, lobbyists, and others. We're going to be talking about the in-the-weeds facts on historical lake levels, water uses, what's really in LORS right now, the Lake Okeechobee regulation schedule, historic discharge levels, and a lot more. Basically, we're going to attempt to set the record with source facts, source material, because there's a lot of misinformation that's being spread out there. Now, I don't need to tell you that there are winners and that there are losers in the current system. Specifically, the coasts lose over and over again while others benefit. There's a term that gets thrown around a lot in water management in Florida and saying that it's based around shared adversity. But the reality is that right now our communities on the coast, they get all of the adversity and none of the prosperity. But there are very influential groups that like the status quo exactly the way that it is because they get to use Lake Okeechobee as their personal water storage reservoir, and when the lake gets too high, they just dump that problem onto us. That's why I've been fighting to keep the lake level lower, not all year round, but heading into this wet season, into hurricane season, get it down to about 10.5 feet between May 15th and June 1st, somewhere in that window, which would help prevent harmful discharges while still ensuring that all of South Florida water users get their water for drinking water supply or anything else that it would also help benefit the ecology of Lake Okeechobee. So we've been talking about this. It's been very concerning to me that I've had county commissioners, mayors, other elected officials ask me, where does 10.5 foot level come from? Where did you make that up from? It seems as though somebody is telling them that this is some arbitrary number that was pulled out of thin air, or that I'm pushing for a harmful static level on Lake Okeechobee that will threaten their drinking water supply, that will lead to a catastrophic drought. But that's simply not the truth, and this is the first Lake O fact check. Where does the 10.5 foot level come from that I talk about for Lake O moving into the beginning of hurricane season? Well, the Lake Okeechobee regulation schedule, LORS, that I keep on my desk constantly, that's the current law. Getting into this level, it doesn't require a single change in law because it's here right on page 33 of LORS, figure 7-1. That's LORS. We'll hold it up more so you can see it, but that's exactly where it comes from. This is not some arbitrary number that was created. This shows where the operational band for ebbs and flows throughout the year should be occurring. And right here at the beginning of the wet season, it dips down to 10.5 feet. Why does it dip down at the beginning of the wet season right around May 15th, June 1st? Why does that occur in that LORS beneficial use band? Because this is when we expect to start to get a lot of rain moving into hurricane season. Maybe we get multiple hurricanes that will fill the lake back up at a very rapid level. And if lake levels start to get too high at the beginning of this season and we get too much rain, that's why we get those discharges. You look back to a year ago at the beginning of hurricane season, the lake wasn't down to 10.5 feet. The lake was at about 12 foot 10 inches, and we received a whole summer of discharges, even though there wasn't a hurricane that hit anywhere close to our area. So in my mind, this is simple math. If we can lower that base level of Lake Okeechobee at the beginning of hurricane season, right where it says to in current law and current Lake Okeechobee regulation schedule, in order to prevent these discharges and truly share adversity, because there's always a risk of multiple hurricanes, which still leads to discharges occurring, but it also brings the lake down to a lower level, which gives a more buffer so that we don't have those harmful discharges. So if 10.5 feet, it can be shown that this is not an arbitrary number, this is in fact the law, then we have gone out there and we have done what is correct for the scenario that we are presented year after year where our coasts end up getting all of these discharges. It's part of the operational flexibility of LORS right now under current law, and that is our first Lake O fact check.